The difference between envy and jealousy, most people get this wrong. Now, let's dive into something that's been eating at a lot of you lately. I've been getting tons of messages asking me to tackle this topic, especially after my video on jealousy took off. Today, we're talking about envy, and here's the thing that's going to blow your mind. Most people think envy and jealousy are the same thing. They're not even close. Here's the scene. You're scrolling through Instagram at 11 p.m. and there's your college roommate posting pictures from his brand new Tesla Model S. Your stomach drops. You feel that familiar burning sensation in your chest. But what exactly are you feeling? Are you jealous or envious? Most people would say both, but the Stoics would tell you there's a crucial difference that changes everything about how you should handle these emotions. Jealousy is the fear of losing something you already have. It's that panic when you think someone might steal your girlfriend, take your job, or replace you in your friend group. Jealousy says, I'm terrified you're going to take what's mine. It's defensive, protective, and rooted in the fear of loss. Envy, on the other hand, is pure desire for something that belongs to someone else. It's looking at that Tesla and thinking, I want that car. It's seeing your coworker get the promotion you've been working toward and feeling that sharp pang of, that should be mine. Envy doesn't fear losing something, it craves gaining something. Consider this scenario. You're at a company party in downtown Chicago and your colleague Sarah just got promoted to senior manager. If you're thinking she's going to make me look bad and maybe get me fired, that's jealousy. But if you're thinking I want her position, her salary, her corner office, that's envy. Same situation, completely different emotional responses. The ancient Stoics understood this distinction better than anyone, and they had some pretty radical ideas about how to handle both emotions. But here's what's going to surprise you. They didn't think envy was always a bad thing. In fact, they believed that understanding your envy could be the key to unlocking your potential for growth and happiness. Most self-help gurus will tell you to just stop being envious or practice gratitude. The Stoics? They had a much more sophisticated approach. They understood that envy could actually be a powerful teacher, showing you exactly what you value and revealing the gaps between who you are and who you want to become. Consequently, the question isn't whether you should feel envious. The question is, what is your envy trying to tell you, and how can you use that information to build a better life? 1. What is envy really? And why we want what others have? Let's take a closer look at envy and what it really means. This emotion has been around for centuries, and while it often has a negative connotation, understanding its roots can help us navigate our feelings in a more constructive way. So, what exactly is envy? At its core, envy is the desire for something that someone else possesses. This could be tangible items like money, status, or possessions, or intangible things like happiness, relationships, or opportunities. To help unpack this, let's break it down into two categories: external and internal envy. External envy focuses on things that exist outside of ourselves, things like that shiny new car your neighbor bought or the dream job your friend just landed. It's easy to look at these external markers of success and feel a pang of desire. In modern society, we're bombarded with images of success through social media, advertisements, and even within our own social circles. This constant comparison can easily fuel feelings of envy. Epictetus, the ancient Stoic philosopher, famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This quote highlights the importance of our response to envy. When we allow envy to consume us, we often forget that these external factors are preferred indifference, according to Stoic philosophy. This means that while they're nice to have, they are not essential for our happiness or fulfillment. Let's consider a practical example. Imagine you're scrolling through your Instagram feed and see a friend flaunting her luxurious vacation in Bali. You feel a rush of envy. Why can't you be on that beach sipping cocktails? But let's take a step back and analyze this feeling. What are you really envious of? The vacation itself? or perhaps the experience of being carefree and having fun. This is where internal envy comes into play. Internal envy is focused on the qualities or virtues that others possess. For instance, instead of merely desiring your friend's vacation, you might envy her ability to take time off work, her confidence in traveling alone, or her sense of adventure. This is key because recognizing what you truly desire can lead to personal growth. Seneca, another prominent Stoic philosopher, emphasized the importance of self-reflection when he stated, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." When we focus on what others have, we often overlook our own strengths and achievements. Instead of feeling bitter about your friend's vacation, ask yourself what qualities you admire in her. Is it her adventurous spirit? Her ability to take risks? Recognizing these traits can inspire you to cultivate them within yourself. So, how do we transform this internal envy into something positive? The first step is awareness. When you feel the familiar twinge of envy, pause and reflect. What exactly are you envious of? Is it the material possessions, or is it the lifestyle, confidence, or happiness that accompanies them? By identifying the root of your envy, you can begin to focus on your own path toward achieving those qualities. Let's take another example. Suppose you're at work and a colleague receives a promotion that you were vying for. It's natural to feel envious. You may think, "I deserve that recognition more than they do." But instead of wallowing in that feeling, consider what skills or attributes your colleague possesses that led to their success. Is it their diligence, their ability to network, or their strong communication skills? By recognizing these qualities, you can create a plan to develop them within yourself. This is where envy can become a powerful motivator for self-improvement. Rather than allowing envy to fester into resentment, channel it into actionable steps that move you closer to your goals. Marcus Aurelius, another Stoic philosopher, once stated, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." This quote serves as a reminder that our mindset shapes our experiences. Instead of allowing negative thoughts of envy to cloud your judgment, focus on cultivating positive thoughts that propel you forward. Envy can also serve as a mirror reflecting our unfulfilled desires. If you find yourself constantly envious of others, it may indicate that you are not aligned with your true values. Are you pursuing goals that genuinely resonate with you, or are you chasing societal expectations? Reflecting on these questions can lead to greater self-awareness and ultimately help you redefine what success means to you. Now, let's explore the idea of gratitude as an antidote to envy. Practicing gratitude can shift your focus from what you lack to what you have. When you regularly acknowledge the positives in your life, it becomes easier to let go of the desire for what others have. Consider starting a gratitude journal where you write down 3 things you're thankful for each day. This practice can train your mind to appreciate your unique journey. Furthermore, remember that everyone faces struggles even if they appear to be thriving on the surface. Social media often presents a distorted view of reality, showcasing only the highlight reels of people's lives. Behind those pictures of lavish vacations and perfect relationships are stories of hardship and challenges. By recognizing that everyone has their battles, it becomes easier to cultivate compassion rather than envy. In conclusion, envy is a complex emotion that can either hinder or propel us forward, depending on how we choose to respond. By understanding the difference between external and internal envy, we can gain valuable insights into our desires and values. As Epictetus reminds us, it's not the external circumstances that define our happiness, but our reactions to them. So the next time you feel the twinge of envy, take a moment to pause, reflect, and choose a path of self-improvement rather than resentment. Recognize that envy can serve as a compass, guiding you toward the qualities you wish to cultivate in yourself. Embrace this lesson from the Stoics, channel your envy into motivation, and let it inspire you to become the best version of yourself. 2. Why wanting someone's car won't make you happy. Stoic truth. When we think about envy, it's often tied to our desire for external possessions like that sleek car your neighbor drives or the luxurious lifestyle of your friend. The Stoics taught us that these desires are what they called preferred indifference. This term refers to things that are nice to have but ultimately do not contribute to our true happiness or fulfillment. In this section, we'll explore why wanting someone else's car won't make you happy and how Stoic philosophy can guide us toward a more fulfilling life. First, let's consider the concept of preferred indifference. According to Stoic thinkers like Seneca and Epictetus, external goods such as wealth, status, and possessions are not inherently good or bad. They are indifferent in terms of our moral character and well-being. Seneca famously said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." This quote emphasizes that our happiness does not depend on what we have but rather on our mindset and how we perceive our situation. Take, for example, the desire for a luxury car. Imagine you see your friend driving a brand new Tesla and you can't help but feel a pang of envy. You might think, if I had that car, I'd be happier. However, this assumption overlooks a key point: the Tesla itself does not guarantee happiness. In fact, once you acquire that car, the novelty may quickly wear off and you might find yourself wanting something else, leading to a cycle of constant desire. This is known as the hedonic treadmill, a phenomenon where individuals rapidly return to a relatively stable level of happiness despite major positive or negative events or life changes. It's important to recognize that chasing after external possessions can lead to a never-ending cycle of dissatisfaction. As Marcus Aurelius wisely stated, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. This quote serves as a reminder that true contentment comes from within, not from external sources. To illustrate this point further, let's consider a scenario. Imagine you finally purchased that luxury car, and at first, it feels exhilarating. Your friends admire it, and you feel a surge of pride. However, after a few months, the excitement fades. You start to notice the occasional scratch or the pressure to keep it clean and in perfect condition. Suddenly, the car becomes more of a burden than a source of joy. You may even start envying someone else's newer model or upgrade, falling back into the cycle of desire. Instead of focusing on external possessions, Stoicism encourages us to shift our attention to developing our character and virtues. This is where internal goods, qualities like wisdom, courage, and kindness come into play. These are the true sources of happiness that lead to a fulfilling life. As Epictetus stated, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. By cultivating a mindset that values internal goods over external possessions, we can find greater satisfaction in our lives. Let's also consider the social media landscape, where people often showcase their best lives, complete with flashy cars and extravagant vacations. This curated content can distort our perception of reality and amplify feelings of envy. It's easy to look at someone else's life and think they must be so much happier than I am. However, this is rarely the full story. Behind every perfect Instagram photo is a reality that often includes struggles and challenges. To combat this, practice mindfulness and self-compassion. Instead of comparing yourself to others, focus on your own journey and what brings you genuine happiness. Ask yourself what truly matters to you. Is it the car, or is it the experiences and relationships you build along the way? The Stoics emphasized the importance of living in accordance with nature and understanding what is truly valuable in life. Another practical approach is to engage in a gratitude practice. Instead of fixating on what you lack, take time each day to reflect on what you have. This can be as simple as writing down 3 things you are grateful for. By shifting your focus from external possessions to internal appreciation, you cultivate a sense of contentment that external goods cannot provide. Let's also look at how we can apply these Stoic principles to our everyday lives. Suppose you find yourself envious after seeing a neighbor's new car. Instead of allowing that envy to fester, use it as an opportunity for self-reflection. Ask yourself, what is it about that car that I desire? Is it the status it brings, or is it the freedom and mobility it represents? This kind of introspection can lead to valuable insights about your desires and values. For instance, if you realize that what you really crave is the freedom to travel, consider how you can create experiences that fulfill that desire without needing a flashy car. Perhaps you can plan a road trip with friends or explore new places in your city. Additionally, consider the environmental impact of your desires. As more people become aware of climate change and sustainability, the allure of luxury cars may diminish. Instead, focus on making choices that align with your values. This not only brings you closer to a fulfilling life, but also contributes positively to the world around you. In conclusion, the Stoics teach us that external possessions, like a luxury car, are not the keys to happiness. Instead, we should focus on internal goods, our character, virtues, and relationships. By shifting our mindset and practicing gratitude, we can break free from the cycle of envy and find true contentment. As you navigate your own feelings of desire, remember that it's not about what you have, but how you choose to respond to what you see in others. Embrace the Stoic truth that happiness comes from within, and let that guide you on your journey to a more fulfilling life. 3. When envy is actually good for you, the virtue exception. Envy is often viewed as a completely negative emotion, something to be avoided at all costs. However, when we examine this feeling through the lens of Stoic philosophy, we can uncover its potential benefits. In this section, we will explore how envy can act as a catalyst for self-improvement and personal growth, highlighting the moments when envy can actually be good for you. To begin, let's clarify what we mean by the phrase, envy can be good. This does not imply that we should wallow in feelings of jealousy or allow them to dictate our actions. Rather, it suggests that envy can serve as a valuable signal, pointing us toward areas where we may want to improve ourselves. The Stoics believed that recognizing what we admire in others can inspire us to cultivate those same virtues within ourselves. Consider the story of the ancient philosopher Epictetus, who was once a slave but became one of the most influential Stoic thinkers. His teachings encourage us to reflect on our desires and values rather than simply dismissing our feelings of envy as shameful. Epictetus famously said, "You may be unconquerable if you enter into no combat in which it is not in your own control to conquer." This quote reminds us that the only battles worth fighting are those that we can control, such as our attitudes and responses to envy. Let's break this down with a practical example. Imagine you're at a social gathering, and you meet someone who is incredibly charismatic and well-liked by everyone. As you observe their interactions, you might feel a twinge of envy. Instead of letting this feeling bring you down, take a moment to analyze what it is about their character that draws people in. Is it their confidence, their ability to engage others in conversation, or perhaps their genuine interest in people? By identifying the qualities you admire, you can use this envy as a roadmap for self-improvement. If you recognize that you want to be more charismatic, consider what steps you can take to develop that quality. This might involve practicing active listening, engaging in more conversations, or even taking a public speaking class. The key is to transform envy into actionable goals that lead you toward personal growth. Another important aspect of harnessing envy for self-improvement is to understand the difference between external and internal envy. External envy focuses on what others possess, material goods, social status, or achievements. In contrast, internal envy can arise when we see someone embodying virtues we wish to have, such as kindness, wisdom, or resilience. Let's consider the example of seeing a friend who has excelled in their career. You may feel envious of their success, but this can also be an opportunity for reflection. What qualities did they cultivate to reach that success? Did they work hard, network effectively, or maintain a positive attitude? By understanding the internal virtues that contributed to their achievements, you can identify the traits you want to develop in yourself. As Seneca wisely stated, "A good character, when established, is not easily disturbed." This quote highlights the importance of nurturing our internal qualities. When we are focused on developing our character, external achievements become less significant. It's not about competing with others. It's about striving to be the best version of ourselves. Now, let's explore how to channel envy into constructive behavior. One effective method is to practice what the Stoics called negative visualization. This involves imagining the worst-case scenario in a situation: losing a job, a relationship ending, or not achieving a personal goal. By confronting these fears, we can gain perspective and appreciate what we currently have. For instance, if you find yourself envious of a friend's luxurious lifestyle, take a moment to envision what it would be like to lose your own comforts. This exercise can help you cultivate gratitude for what you already possess and remind you that true happiness comes from within rather than from external possessions. This practice aligns with Marcus Aurelius's teaching: "The things you think about determine the quality of your mind. Your soul takes on the color of your thoughts." When we allow ourselves to dwell on our desires without taking action, we can easily fall into a cycle of bitterness and resentment. However, by actively working to improve ourselves, we can convert envy into a powerful motivator. Let's also consider the importance of community in this process. Surrounding ourselves with individuals who inspire us can help transform envy into admiration. For example, if you're envious of a colleague's success, try to engage with them rather than distancing yourself. Ask them about their journey, their challenges, and how they cultivated their strengths. This not only helps build a supportive network, but also allows you to learn from their experiences. Additionally, remember that everyone faces struggles, even those who seem to have it all. This understanding can provide context for our feelings of envy, reminding us that we are all human and imperfect. By recognizing the common struggles we share, we can foster empathy and compassion for ourselves and others. As you navigate your feelings of envy, consider using a journaling practice to document your thoughts and feelings. Write about the instances where you felt envious and what qualities or achievements triggered those feelings. Reflect on how you can use this information to inspire your personal growth. Journaling can help clarify your thoughts, making it easier to identify actionable steps towards self-improvement. Furthermore, embrace the idea that envy can serve as a catalyst for positive change. When you feel envious, ask yourself how you can leverage that emotion to propel yourself forward. This proactive approach can help you break free from the negative cycle of envy and transform it into a force for good in your life. In conclusion, while envy is often seen as a negative emotion, it can also provide valuable insights into our desires and aspirations. By recognizing envy as a signal for self-improvement, we can use it to cultivate the virtues we admire in others. As we strive to develop our character and foster meaningful connections, we can transform envy from a source of bitterness into a catalyst for growth. The Stoics remind us that our happiness lies not in what we lack, but in our ability to cultivate our inner virtues. By embracing envy as a tool for self-reflection and motivation, we can create a life filled with purpose and fulfillment. A life that aligns with the Stoic ideal of eudaimonia, or human flourishing. Remember, envy can be good for you if you choose to see it as a guide toward the person you aspire to be. 4. The first murder in history was about envy. Cain and Abel story. The story of Cain and Abel, as told in the Bible, is one of the most profound narratives surrounding envy, illustrating its destructive power and the moral lessons that can be gleaned from it. This tale is not merely an ancient story of sibling rivalry, it serves as a timeless reflection on human nature and the consequences of envy. Understanding this story through the lens of Stoic philosophy can provide us with valuable insights into how we can manage our own feelings of envy and its potential consequences. In the biblical account, Cain, a farmer, and Abel, a shepherd, are the sons of Adam and Eve. Both brothers bring offerings to God, Cain from his crops and Abel from his flock. However, God favors Abel's offering over Cain's, leading Cain to feel rejected and, ultimately, envious. In a fit of rage and jealousy, Cain commits the first murder in history by killing his brother Abel. This narrative serves as a powerful reminder of the dark side of envy and the lengths to which it can push individuals. The story raises important questions about the nature of envy. Why does Cain react so violently to his brother's success? What does this say about the human condition? As we explore these questions, we can gain a better understanding of how envy can lead to destructive behavior, but also how we can learn from Cain's tragic mistake. First, let's examine the nature of Cain's envy. It wasn't simply a matter of Abel receiving God's favor, it was Cain's inability to cope with his own feelings of inadequacy that drove him to violence. Instead of turning inward and reflecting on why his offering was not accepted, Cain allowed his envy to fester and culminate in a catastrophic decision. This serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked envy. As Seneca wisely pointed out, envy is the companion of the good, it follows them like a shadow. When we see others succeed, it can trigger feelings of inadequacy, but it's how we respond to these feelings that defines our character. This is a critical lesson for us in modern society, where we often find ourselves comparing our achievements to those of others. Social media amplifies this effect, making it easy to fall into the trap of envy. When we see friends or acquaintances achieving milestones, whether it's a promotion at work, a new home, or a picture-perfect vacation, we may feel that familiar pang of envy. However, like Cain, we must be mindful of how we react to these feelings. Do we channel that envy into self-improvement, or do we let it lead us down a destructive path? One way to navigate these feelings is to practice self-reflection. After all, envy can serve as a signal indicating areas in our lives where we may feel unfulfilled. Instead of resorting to negative thoughts or actions, we can ask ourselves, what is it about that person's success that I desire? Is it their material possessions, or is it the sense of accomplishment and recognition that comes with it? In Cain's case, he could have chosen to learn from Abel's success instead of succumbing to rage. He could have seen his brother's virtue as an opportunity for self-improvement. The Stoics teach us that we have the power to control our reactions, and by focusing on our own growth, we can transform envy into a motivating force. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Instead of allowing negative thoughts to consume us, we can choose to cultivate a positive mindset that pushes us toward becoming better individuals. Let's consider a practical example to illustrate this point. Imagine you're at work and notice that a colleague receives praise for a project you contributed to but didn't lead. You might feel envious of their recognition, but instead of lashing out or harboring resentment, you could take a moment to reflect. Ask yourself what skills or qualities your colleague possesses that contributed to their success. Perhaps they are more adept at public speaking or have stronger leadership skills. This realization can motivate you to enhance your own abilities, turning an envious feeling into a drive for personal growth. Moreover, this story also prompts us to consider the broader implications of envy. When Cain kills Abel, he not only destroys his brother, but also damages himself and his standing with God. This act of violence becomes a pivotal moment in human history, illustrating how envy can lead to irreversible consequences. The Stoics would argue that our actions are a reflection of our character, and when we allow negative emotions to dictate our behavior, we risk losing our moral compass. In the aftermath of Abel's murder, God confronts Cain, asking, "Where's your brother Abel?" Cain responds with a lie, saying, "I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper?" This moment highlights Cain's attempt to evade responsibility for his actions. It serves as a reminder of the importance of accountability. When we act out of envy, we often try to justify our actions or shift blame rather than facing the consequences of our decisions. This lack of accountability can lead to a downward spiral where we become trapped in a cycle of negative emotions and destructive behaviors. To break free from this cycle, we must learn to embrace accountability and humility. Acknowledge your feelings of envy, but rather than acting on them negatively, use them as opportunities for growth. Recognize that the qualities you admire in others are often attainable through hard work and dedication. As Seneca noted, it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. By shifting our focus from what we lack to what we can achieve, we can cultivate a mindset of abundance rather than scarcity. Furthermore, we should remember that everyone experiences envy at some point. It's a common human emotion, and acknowledging this can help us foster empathy toward ourselves and others. Instead of allowing envy to create rifts between us, we can use it to strengthen our relationships. Share your feelings with trusted friends or mentors and seek their guidance on how to overcome these emotions. This openness can create a supportive environment where everyone can grow together. In conclusion, the story of Cain and Abel serves as a powerful reminder of the dangers of unchecked envy. It illustrates how this emotion can lead to destructive decisions if not managed properly. However, it also offers valuable lessons on self-reflection, accountability, and personal growth. By recognizing the qualities we admire in others and channeling our envy into motivation for self-improvement, we can transform this negative emotion into a positive force in our lives. The Stoics remind us that our thoughts and actions define our character. Let us choose to embrace envy as a guide for growth rather than a catalyst for destruction. By doing so, we can cultivate a fulfilling life grounded in virtue and self-awareness, ultimately steering clear of the tragic fate that befell Cain. 5. How to turn envy into motivation. Learn from better people. Envy is a complex emotion, often seen as a negative sentiment that we should avoid at all costs. However, when viewed through the lens of Stoic philosophy, envy can serve as a powerful motivator for self-improvement and personal growth. In this section, we will explore how to transform feelings of envy into actionable steps that inspire us to become better versions of ourselves. To begin, let's acknowledge that envy is a natural human emotion. It's impossible to go through life without feeling envious from time to time, especially in a world filled with social media comparisons and constant displays of success. Instead of viewing envy as something shameful, we can recognize it as an opportunity for reflection and growth. The Stoics believed that our emotions are not inherently good or bad. Rather, it is our reaction to those emotions that defines their impact on our lives. Epictetus famously stated, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This quote captures the essence of turning envy into motivation. The key question is not whether we feel envious, but how we choose to respond to that feeling. Instead of allowing envy to consume us, we can use it as a catalyst for positive change. Let's consider a practical example. Imagine you're at work and notice that a colleague has received a promotion for a project you both worked on. You feel a rush of envy as you think, "That should have been my recognition." However, instead of letting that feeling fester, take a moment to reflect on the qualities that led to your colleague's success. What did they do differently? Did they take the lead in meetings, build relationships with key stakeholders, or present their ideas more effectively? By analyzing the situation, you can identify specific skills or behaviors you can adopt to enhance your own career prospects. This shift in focus, from envy to self-improvement, allows you to channel your emotions constructively. Instead of viewing your colleague as a rival, consider them a source of inspiration. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, emphasized the importance of learning from others when he said, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." While this quote acknowledges the negative traits we may encounter in others, it also serves as a reminder that we can choose how we respond. Rather than allowing envy to lead to resentment, we can focus on what we admire in others and use it as a guide for our own development. Another effective way to turn envy into motivation is to practice gratitude. When we focus on what we have rather than what we lack, it becomes easier to appreciate our unique journey. Gratitude shifts our mindset from scarcity to abundance, allowing us to see the value in our own experiences. As Seneca wisely stated, "A grateful mind is a great mind which eventually attracts to itself great things." To cultivate gratitude, consider keeping a journal where you regularly write down things you appreciate in your life. This practice can help you become more aware of your strengths and accomplishments, making it easier to combat feelings of envy when they arise. For example, if you find yourself envious of a friend's new car, take a moment to reflect on your own achievements, whether it's your education, relationships, or personal growth. Realizing that you have your own successes can lessen the sting of envy. Furthermore, it's essential to recognize that everyone faces struggles, regardless of outward appearances. Social media often presents an unrealistic view of success, showcasing only the highlights of people's lives. When you see someone posting about their promotion, new home, or exotic vacation, remember that they, too, have faced challenges and setbacks. This understanding can foster empathy and help you view their success as a shared human experience rather than a personal affront. Another way to turn envy into motivation is by surrounding yourself with positive influences. Seek out mentors or individuals who inspire you. Engage with them, ask questions, and learn from their journeys. For instance, if you admire a colleague's work ethic, approach them for advice on how to improve your productivity. By actively seeking guidance from those you envy, you can gain valuable insights that propel you forward. Additionally, consider setting specific, measurable goals based on the qualities you admire in others. If you're envious of a friend's fitness level, establish a workout plan that aligns with your aspirations. Break down your goal into smaller, achievable steps, such as committing to a certain number of workouts per week or trying new activities. By focusing on actionable steps, you can transform envy into motivation for personal growth. As you work toward your goals, remember that progress takes time. The Stoics understood the importance of patience and persistence. Seneca once said, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." This quote emphasizes that success is not merely a matter of luck. It is the result of hard work and preparation. By consistently striving to improve, you can create your own opportunities for success. Moreover, it's crucial to celebrate your achievements along the way. Acknowledging your progress can provide motivation to keep going. Whether it's reaching a fitness milestone, completing a project at work, or mastering a new skill, take time to recognize and celebrate your accomplishments. This practice reinforces a positive mindset and encourages you to continue pursuing your goals. Finally, embrace the idea that envy can serve as a guiding light rather than a stumbling block. When you feel envious, use it as a prompt to reflect on your own aspirations and values. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this feeling? And how can I use this energy to propel myself forward? In conclusion, while envy is often perceived as a negative emotion, it can also be a powerful motivator for self-improvement. By embracing the Stoic perspective, we can transform envy into actionable steps that lead us toward personal growth. As we learn to recognize what we admire in others, cultivate gratitude for our own lives, and seek inspiration from those around us, we can turn feelings of envy into a driving force for positive change. Remember Marcus Aurelius's words, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." By choosing to respond to envy with self-reflection and motivation, we can create a fulfilling life grounded in virtue and continuous growth. 6. When life isn't fair and you feel bitter, Seneca's ancient wisdom. Life is full of challenges, and one of the most common sources of frustration is the feeling that life isn't fair. Whether we're facing setbacks at work, experiencing relationship difficulties, or simply witnessing the apparent success of others, it's easy to allow bitterness to take root. In this section, we'll explore how the Stoic philosopher Seneca's insights can help us navigate feelings of unfairness and bitterness, ultimately leading us toward a greater sense of peace and resilience. Seneca, who lived during the Roman Empire, faced his own share of adversity. From exile to political intrigue, his life was a testament to the Stoic principles he espoused. One of his most famous quotes is, "The bravest sight in the world is to see a great man struggling against adversity." This captures the essence of Stoicism. It is not the challenges we face, but how we respond to them that defines our character. At its core, the Stoic philosophy teaches us that we cannot control external events or the actions of others, but we can control our thoughts and reactions. This understanding is crucial when grappling with feelings of bitterness and unfairness. Instead of succumbing to negativity, we can choose to focus on our internal responses, cultivating resilience and strength. Consider this scenario. You've been working hard at your job, putting in extra hours and striving to exceed expectations. However, when it comes time for promotions, you discover that a colleague, who perhaps hasn't worked as diligently, has been rewarded instead. It's natural to feel a wave of bitterness wash over you. You might think, Why is this happening to me? I deserve that promotion. In this moment, it's essential to pause and reflect. Seneca reminds us that life is inherently unpredictable and often unfair. He once said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." This quote emphasizes the importance of focusing on what we have rather than what we lack. Instead of allowing bitterness to cloud your judgment, take a moment to recognize your own achievements and the value you bring to your work. One way to shift your perspective is to practice gratitude. When faced with feelings of unfairness, take time to reflect on the positive aspects of your life. What are you grateful for? Are there accomplishments or personal qualities that you often overlook? For example, instead of fixating on the promotion you didn't receive, consider the skills you've developed through your hard work. Perhaps you've improved your communication skills, learned to navigate office politics, or built strong relationships with your colleagues. Recognizing these accomplishments can help you appreciate your journey and diminish the bitterness you feel. Moreover, it's essential to remember that everyone faces challenges, even those who appear to have it all figured out. Social media often portrays an unrealistic view of life, showcasing only the highlights of others' experiences. Behind every success story lies a history of struggles, setbacks, and hard-earned lessons. This understanding can foster empathy and compassion toward both ourselves and others. Another Stoic principle that can help combat feelings of unfairness is the idea of accepting what we cannot control. Seneca taught that we should focus our energy on what is within our power. For instance, you cannot control the decisions made by your superiors regarding promotions, but you can control how you respond to those decisions. You have the power to choose whether to sulk in bitterness or to channel that energy into personal growth and improvement. Let's explore a practical approach to this mindset shift. When faced with unfairness, create a list of things you can control in the situation. This may include improving your skills. Identify areas where you can develop professionally. Consider taking a course, seeking mentorship, or asking for feedback from trusted colleagues. Networking. Build relationships with others in your field. Attend industry events or connect with professionals on LinkedIn. Expanding your network can open doors to new opportunities. Setting new goals. Instead of fixating on the promotion you didn't receive, set new, achievable goals for yourself. These goals can be centered around personal development, such as improving your time management, communication skills, or leadership abilities. By focusing on what you can control, you empower yourself to take charge of your own path. This proactive approach not only mitigates feelings of bitterness, but also enhances your overall sense of agency and resilience. Seneca also emphasized the power of perspective. He stated, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage." This quote serves as a reminder that facing life's challenges requires bravery and strength. When we encounter unfairness, we can choose to see it as an opportunity for growth rather than an obstacle. For instance, if you find yourself feeling bitter about a colleague's success, reframe your thoughts. Instead of thinking, "They don't deserve it," consider, "What can I learn from their journey?" This shift in perspective allows you to view their achievements as inspiration rather than a threat. Additionally, engage in self-reflection. Ask yourself how you can grow from this experience. What qualities do you admire in your colleague that you can cultivate within yourself? This introspection can lead to valuable insights and actionable steps for personal development. Furthermore, cultivating a mindset of resilience can help you navigate the inevitable ups and downs of life. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from adversity and maintain a positive outlook despite challenges. The Stoics believed that resilience is built through practice and perseverance. To strengthen your resilience, consider adopting a daily practice of reflection. At the end of each day, take a moment to review the events of your day. What went well? What challenges did you face, and how did you respond? This practice can help you identify patterns in your behavior and thought processes, enabling you to make conscious choices about how to respond to future challenges. In conclusion, feelings of unfairness and bitterness are natural human emotions, but they don't have to define our experiences. By embracing the teachings of Seneca and Stoic philosophy, we can learn to navigate these feelings with grace and resilience. Recognizing what we can control, practicing gratitude, and shifting our perspective can help us transform bitterness into a powerful motivator for personal growth. As we cultivate our inner strength and resilience, we can face life's challenges with courage, ultimately leading to greater fulfillment and contentment. Remember, the bravest sight in the world is to see a great person struggling against adversity. Let that struggle become your path to self-improvement and living a fulfilling life grounded in Stoic wisdom. 7. The dark side of envy: why some people destroy others. Envy can be a powerful emotion capable of motivating individuals to achieve their goals or, conversely, leading them down a dark path of destruction. This duality makes envy a particularly dangerous feeling, as it can easily tip from a catalyst for self-improvement into a destructive force that harms not only ourselves but also those around us. In this section, we will explore the dark side of envy, examining how it can lead individuals to seek revenge or inflict harm on others, and how Stoic philosophy offers tools to navigate these feelings constructively. At its core, envy arises when we desire what others possess, be it their success, status, or possessions. When this desire becomes intense, it can morph into destructive behaviors, ultimately harming our relationships and well-being. As the Roman philosopher Seneca stated, envy is the most bitter of all vices. This quote encapsulates how envy can poison our thoughts and actions, leading us to act against our better nature. Consider a scenario in which an employee, let's call him Dave, feels envious of a colleague, Sarah, who consistently receives praise from their boss. Instead of viewing Sarah's success as an opportunity for learning, Dave allows his envy to fester. He begins to feel resentful and starts undermining Sarah's efforts, perhaps through passive-aggressive comments or by spreading rumors about her work ethic. This behavior not only tarnishes their professional relationship but also reflects Dave's internal struggle with his own insecurities and feelings of inadequacy. This example illustrates how envy can spiral into destructive behavior, leading individuals to harm those they envy rather than striving for personal growth. In extreme cases, envy can drive people to commit serious acts of malice. The biblical story of Cain and Abel serves as a poignant reminder of this truth. After God favored Abel's offering over Cain's, Cain allowed his envy to consume him, ultimately leading him to commit the first murder in history. This tragic tale demonstrates the catastrophic consequences that unchecked envy can have, not just for the person feeling it but also for those around them. The Stoics recognized the destructive potential of envy and offered valuable insights on managing these feelings. As Epictetus noted, it is not the things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. This quote emphasizes the importance of mindset. When we allow envy to dictate our emotions and actions, we lose sight of what truly matters: our character and integrity. So how can we prevent envy from leading us down a dark path? First, it's essential to practice self-awareness. Acknowledge the feelings of envy when they arise, but do not let them control your actions. Instead of acting on these feelings, take a step back and reflect. Ask yourself why you feel this way. What qualities or achievements in the other person do you desire? This introspection can help you transform envy into a catalyst for self-improvement rather than destruction. For example, let's consider a woman named Lisa who feels envious of her friend's seemingly perfect family life. Instead of allowing that envy to fester, Lisa could take a moment to reflect on what she admires about her friend's family. Is it their closeness, their ability to communicate openly, or their support for one another? By identifying these qualities, she can set goals to strengthen her own relationships and improve her family dynamics. Another effective strategy is to cultivate empathy. Recognizing that everyone has their struggles can help mitigate feelings of envy. When we see others through a more compassionate lens, we're less likely to feel threatened by their success. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, when you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. This acknowledgement prepares us for the challenges of human interaction and helps us approach others with understanding rather than hostility. Additionally, we must remember that envy often stems from our insecurities. When we feel inadequate or unfulfilled in our own lives, we may look to others and feel envious of their achievements. Recognizing this connection can empower us to take steps toward personal growth. Instead of comparing ourselves to others, we can focus on our own journeys and what we can do to improve ourselves. To further illustrate this point, let's consider a powerful example from the world of sports. Athletes often face intense competition, and the pressure to succeed can lead to feelings of envy. For instance, imagine a basketball player who is consistently overshadowed by a teammate's talent and accolades. Instead of allowing envy to drive a wedge between them, the player can choose to learn from their teammates' strengths. By studying their techniques, work ethic, and approach to the game, the player can transform envy into motivation to improve their own skills. The key takeaway here is that envy can serve as a mirror reflecting our desires and aspirations. When we recognize this, we can choose to channel those feelings into constructive actions. Instead of allowing envy to lead to bitterness or destructive behavior, we can use it as fuel for our own growth. Another important aspect of managing envy is to practice gratitude. When we cultivate a mindset of appreciation for what we have, we can diminish the power of envy. As Seneca noted, he who is not satisfied with what he has will not be satisfied with what he wants. By focusing on our own blessings and accomplishments, we can shift our perspective and reduce feelings of inadequacy. To implement this practice, consider keeping a gratitude journal. Each day, write down 3 things you appreciate in your life. This simple exercise can help you recognize the positives in your own journey, making it easier to combat feelings of envy when they arise. For example, if you find yourself envious of a colleague's promotion, reflect on the aspects of your job that you enjoy, such as supportive coworkers, a flexible schedule, or opportunities for professional development. In conclusion, while envy can lead to destructive behavior, it also holds the potential for personal growth and self-improvement. By recognizing the emotional triggers behind our envy and choosing to respond with self-awareness, empathy, and gratitude, we can transform this powerful emotion into a force for good in our lives. The Stoics remind us that our character is defined not by the challenges we face, but by how we respond to them. By embracing the lessons of Stoic philosophy, we can navigate the dark side of envy and emerge stronger, wiser, and more resilient. As you move forward, remember that envy does not have to be a source of shame or destruction. Instead, view it as an opportunity to learn, grow, and cultivate the qualities you admire in others. By doing so, you can create a fulfilling life grounded in virtue, resilience, and understanding. 8. 3 questions to ask when you feel envious. Stoic self-check. Envy is an emotion we all experience, yet it can often feel overwhelming and destructive. However, the Stoics taught us that rather than succumbing to envy, we can use it as a powerful tool for self-reflection and growth. In this section, we will explore 3 essential questions to ask ourselves when we feel envious. These questions can help us understand the root of our envy and redirect our focus toward personal development and fulfillment. Question 1. What specifically am I envious of? The first step in addressing envy is to pinpoint exactly what we are envious of. Envy can manifest in many forms, and understanding its specific source is crucial for addressing it effectively. Are we envious of someone's material possessions, their social status, their relationships, or perhaps their skills and talents? For example, imagine you're scrolling through social media and come across a post from a friend who just bought a new home. You feel a pang of envy and think, why can't I have that? At this moment, it's vital to reflect on what aspect of their situation triggers your envy. Is it the home itself? Or is it the sense of stability and success that comes with homeownership? Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, emphasized the importance of self-examination. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." By taking a moment to examine your feelings, you empower yourself to respond in a constructive manner. To dig deeper into your feelings, consider journaling your thoughts. Write down what specifically triggers your envy and why. Doing so can help clarify your emotions and provide insight into your desires and values. For instance, if you realize that you are envious of your friend's new home because of the security it represents, you can then begin to assess what steps you can take to create a sense of stability in your own life. Question 2. Why do I want what they have? Once you've identified what you're envious of, the next question to ask is, why do I want what they have? This question encourages self-reflection on your values and desires. Are you seeking what others have because you genuinely believe it will bring you happiness? Or are you motivated by societal pressures and comparisons? Consider this scenario. You see a coworker receiving accolades for a successful project. You feel envious and think, I want that recognition. But pause for a moment and ask yourself, why do I want this recognition? Is it because you truly value acknowledgement for your hard work? Or is it because societal norms dictate that success is measured by accolades and promotions? Seneca wisely observed, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." This quote serves as a reminder that our perceptions often shape our desires. By questioning the motivations behind our envy, we can gain clarity about what truly matters to us. If you discover that your desire for recognition stems from a need for validation rather than a genuine appreciation of your work, you can shift your focus toward internal satisfaction rather than external approval. Another practical approach is to reflect on your personal values. What do you hold dear? Is it creativity, collaboration, or perhaps making a difference in the lives of others? By aligning your goals with your core values, you can cultivate a sense of fulfillment that is independent of external validation. For instance, if you find that your values center around creativity, focus on developing your skills and pursuing projects that ignite your passion rather than chasing after accolades. Question 3. How can I use this envy to improve myself? The final question to ask when feeling envious is, how can I use this envy to improve myself? This question shifts the focus from comparison and negativity to personal growth and development. Instead of allowing envy to fester, we can channel it into actionable steps that lead us closer to our goals. Let's revisit the earlier example of your friend buying a new home. Instead of feeling resentful, consider how you can use that envy as motivation. What steps can you take to work toward homeownership or financial stability? Perhaps it means creating a budget, saving for a down payment, or taking a course on financial literacy. Epictetus taught, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This quote encapsulates the Stoic belief that our responses to emotions define our experiences. When we choose to respond to envy with a commitment to self-improvement, we can transform our feelings into a powerful force for positive change. Another way to harness envy for self-improvement is to identify the qualities or skills you admire in the person you're envious of. Suppose you feel envious of a colleague's ability to communicate effectively in meetings. Instead of resenting them, view this as an opportunity to enhance your communication skills. You might enroll in a public speaking course, practice active listening, or seek feedback from trusted colleagues on your communication style. By focusing on actionable steps, you empower yourself to take control of your personal growth. Remember that everyone has their unique journey, and comparing yourself to others can distract you from your own goals. As Seneca wisely noted, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. By preparing and working towards your goals, you create your own opportunities for success. Putting it all together. To summarize, when you feel envy creeping in, remember to ask yourself these 3 essential questions. What specifically am I envious of? Identify the root of your envy to gain clarity on your feelings. Why do I want what they have? Reflect on your motivations and desires, aligning them with your core values. How can I use this envy to improve myself? Transform envy into actionable steps that contribute to your personal growth. By adopting the Stoic self-check approach, you can navigate feelings of envy with greater awareness and intention. Instead of being consumed by negativity, you can harness these feelings to fuel your journey towards self-improvement and fulfillment. In conclusion, envy is a natural emotion that everyone experiences. However, by using the Stoic principles of self-reflection, understanding our motivations, and channeling envy into constructive actions, we can transform this feeling into a powerful tool for personal growth. Remember, it's not the envy itself that defines us, but how we choose to respond to it. By embracing these Stoic teachings, you can cultivate a life of purpose, resilience, and continuous improvement, ultimately leading to a more fulfilling existence. How to never feel envious again, the Stoic path to inner peace. As we conclude our exploration of envy through the lens of Stoic philosophy, it's essential to reflect on the key insights we've gathered and how we can apply them to cultivate inner peace. Envy, while a natural human emotion, does not have to govern our lives. Instead, we can learn to manage it constructively, transforming it into a catalyst for personal growth and fulfillment. The Stoics teach us that our thoughts and perceptions shape our reality. By recognizing envy as an opportunity for self-reflection, we can better understand what we truly desire and what values drive our feelings. The 3 essential questions we've discussed: what specifically am I envious of? Why do I want what they have? And how can I use this envy to improve myself? Serve as powerful tools for navigating these emotions. When we take the time to examine our feelings of envy, we can shift our focus from comparison to self-improvement. Instead of allowing envy to lead us down a path of bitterness and resentment, we can use it as motivation to develop the qualities we admire in others. This proactive approach not only helps us grow, but also fosters a sense of gratitude for our unique journey and achievements. As you move forward, remember the words of Epictetus, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." By consciously choosing to respond to envy with self-awareness and constructive actions, you empower yourself to live a life grounded in your values and aspirations. Moreover, practicing gratitude daily can help diminish feelings of envy. When we focus on the positives in our lives, we create a mindset of abundance rather than scarcity. Consider keeping a gratitude journal to remind yourself of the many blessings you possess and celebrate your personal achievements along the way. As we've seen throughout this discussion, the Stoics believed that happiness and fulfillment come from within. By cultivating our inner virtues, wisdom, courage, and self-discipline, we can find true contentment regardless of external circumstances. Remember that envy is a signal guiding you toward the qualities you want to develop and the life you aspire to lead. In closing, I encourage you to embrace these Stoic teachings and apply them to your life. When feelings of envy arise, use the self-check questions to guide your reflection and allow them to inspire you to become the best version of yourself. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the complexities of envy. If you found this discussion valuable, please take a moment to subscribe to the Stoic Viva channel, like this video, and share it with others who may benefit from these insights. Together, we can foster a community dedicated to applying Stoic wisdom to modern life, helping each other navigate our emotions and cultivate a more fulfilling existence. Remember, the path to inner peace is a journey, not a destination. Let's walk it together, using the wisdom of the Stoics to guide us along the way.